Hello and welcome to Wimbledon Unfiltered with Nick Kyrgios, brought to you by talkSPORT and the Good Trouble podcast. I'm Gordon Smart, and I'm afraid we start today's show with the sad news of Diogo Jota and his brother Andre sadly losing their life in a tragic road accident in the south of Spain. Nick, it's very difficult to discuss these things, but it is worth paying tribute to a remarkable sportsman who's gone far, far too soon.
Yeah, it's absolutely devastating news. I woke up this morning and had a chat to the boys on talkSPORT. It's never easy when an athlete of that stature goes. It affects a lot of people, and he was inspiring millions. So it's incredibly sad news, and obviously thoughts out to his family and friends during this. It's a brutal time. So
yeah, just married, 3 children. The football family and everybody at talkSPORT, we wish his whole family the best. Terrible, terrible news. Now, Nick, we've got to move on to the tennis and talk about Jack Draper. He's just gone out. It's just happened in front of us right now. Bit of a shock, isn't it? I think most people expected him to go really, really far this year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Draper was he's top 5 in the world, and he's competing for Grand Slams, coming off a semi-final at US Open last year. But Marin Cilic is a danger. He's a floater. He's always a dark horse, and people forget he's a Grand Slam champion. He's one of those guys that actually had a breakthrough when the 4 of the greatest of all time were playing. But Marin Cilic, I think he really remembered what he could do on a tennis court, and on grass he's dangerous. He's one of the best servers in the world still. Incredible backhand. But Draper just looked a bit out of sorts, came out a bit flat. Obviously 2 sets to love down. It's never easy to come back, but again, this Wimbledon's been so strange. So many upsets, so many seeds falling. Looks like the draw's opening up for Sinner and Alcaraz.
It really is unusual this year, isn't it? You know, all the people you said at the beginning of the tournament that you'd expect to do well have gone quite early, right?
I mean, Draper it's a big loss because this was, he was carrying the hopes of winning a Grand Slam, and now Cam Norrie, turning into a bit of a veteran of the tour, is still, going pretty strong, and he had a great win yesterday against Tiafoe. So the only hope left is Cam Norrie on the men's side.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the Jack performance then, do you think, how important is it to start really well in a match like that? Because it looked like he was kind of hanging on throughout.
Well, this has been the couple years in a row where Draper kind of struggles at Wimbledon a little bit, and whether it's not playing in front of the home crowd, the home pressures of trying to carry the flag and go the distance, I'm not too sure what it is, but Draper doesn't look, to me, as comfortable on grass as he does the other surfaces. Which is strange, maybe because Wimbledon plays a little bit slower to the previous grass court tournaments, but I'm not too sure. He'll definitely be very disappointed. going out in second round and in your home slam's never easy.
Cilic looked good, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, look, Cilic is, he's one of those players where it's on his racket. He serves well, he plays aggressive, and obviously he's got 3 kids now, I think, and he's got a family, so he's playing for a lot more than himself. So he's going to be a dangerous player for anyone who gets him in the draw. So yeah, Draper wouldn't have been happy having Cilic second round.
Psychologically for Jack, how difficult do you think it will be for him to pick himself up after a result like that?
Oh, look, it's inevitable. As I say in tennis, you have to be a good loser. You're basically losing pretty much every week. So the good thing about tennis is it's all year round, and there's events every week. So look, it'll be easy for him, and he's still young, and he's got such a bright future ahead. But look, Wimbledon only comes once a year, so he's gonna have to wait.
Where do you stand on that argument, by the way? I think I heard somebody say the other day there are 127 losers at Wimbledon and 1 winner. Mm-hmm. If you come second, are you second, or are you a loser in your head? Because it says a lot about your psychology in sport, doesn't it?
Again, he's reminded me of the fact that I lost in the final. No, like you get there and you realise that you were very close. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously I was 2 sets away, but you take it as a positive. If you're coming second, you don't think about it like that. You made it to the final. You did all that hard work. But for me, I was definitely motivated by it. And the next Grand Slam, I really felt hungry to do well. But for Draper, I just think he just looked a bit out of sorts today. And I think he'll respond. He's a great athlete, very professional, does all the right things, got a great team around him. So he'll respond. I'm not worried about it at all.
What was it today, you think, that was missing from his game? What was the reason behind that defeat?
Well, it's a tough matchup. Cilic historically plays pretty well against left-handers. Anyone with a good two-handed backhand, especially on grass, and Cilic, that's his best shot. He's serving backhand. He's won Queens before. He's had great success at Wimbledon. So, and I think that he's never beaten a top 5 player, at Wimbledon ever before, Cilic. So this is a first for him as well today. But I think he's just enjoying his tennis. He was injured for a couple of years, coming back, and he's just free hitting the ball, and he looked like Cilic of old.
I'm not betraying any trust here, right? But I love watching football with professional footballers when they commentate on the game when the cameras are off. And I was watching you talking about Jack when he was playing there, and you did say you felt like he was serving to his backhand a bit too much.
Yeah.
Strategically, was that wrong?
Yeah, I think it was wrong, but left-handers, they do like to, slide that ball tee and go wide on the advantage side, and that's to Cilic's strength. And when Jack was under the pump, he went to those serves, I think, a little bit too much. And that's just the student of the game in me. That when I watch tennis, I haven't had a coach in like 6 or 7 years, so I'm always trying to break down tactically what players are doing. And Cilic just looked like he executed well, played the bigger points well, and that's just what happens.
If you could sit down with Jack tonight at the Dog and Fox and have a chat with him, what would you put your arm around him? What would you say to him? Come on.
I mean, look, I'm probably not the best person.
You are the best.
I mean, maybe not, but I'll probably just say, look, I think the execution and the tactics, maybe, he could have done a little bit different. I mean, he knows. You don't get to top 5 in the world without understanding, what you're doing out there. So I would just probably drink him under the table and make him forget about it and then go again.
It's the best way to do it, like you did last night, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
What time did you go to bed last night, Nick?
Let's not talk about that one.
What time did you go to bed this morning, Nick? Let's not talk about that one. Don't ever no comment me. How dare you? Dan Evans has been quite emotional earlier in the week. We heard him talking, and almost tearful in a press conference, wasn't he? But he was on the receiving end of serious Djokovic punishment today.
Yeah, that was always going to be the thing with Djokovic and Alcaraz as well. They had a bit of a slow start in their first round, and it kind of dials them in for the second round. But look, I just think Dan Evans is definitely on the end of his career. Physically he just can't stay healthy, and he's top 30 in the world after obviously serving a bit of a ban and then coming back and playing some of his best tennis. And look, I think him getting emotional was the best thing, for him and his fans, because he always had question marks, whether he loved the sport, whether he gave, did he really want to do well? And him showing emotion in that press conference answered all those questions to me. He said he was sick of letting people down. But going out against Djokovic, it's never easy. I mean, we're talking about one of the best to ever play on that court. And honestly, Dan Evans has beaten him before as well. So, I mean, look, it's not a bad thing that you go down against Djokovic.
I meant to ask you this yesterday, and I hope you can decode and decipher this for me, right? But when I was watching Djokovic the other day, and he had the medics on, there was a little bit of the sort of wobbliness.
Theatrics.
How much of those theatrics are real, or is it just gamesmanship?
Look, honestly, I think that he does it sometimes when, early on in slams to mess with his opponents, to be honest. Look, there's no doubt that sometimes he's definitely, carrying something or feeling something. We all do. But with Djokovic, I feel like he does. He likes the theatrics, and he kind of, because it was 1 set all, right, in his first round, and then he calls the doctor and all this type of stuff, and then his opponent starts looking over and starts saying, oh, maybe I've got a real chance of winning here, and then all of a sudden he just dials back in and then destroys you.
It changed the momentum, didn't it?
It does. Well, it maybe gets your opponent thinking about something else, instead of thinking about internally what he needs to do, now thinking about, okay, he's feeling his stomach, now he's thinking something else. And I think Djokovic sometimes does that to rattle his opponents. Yeah. But look, it works. When you've won 24 Grand Slams, clearly it works. And it worked again for him. Help me out with when the British seeds go out. Does that help players not from these shores, right? Because it's the crowd might help me a bit more now. Does that play a part in any of the thinking at all? Well, I mean, for the top players like Sinner, Alcaraz, probably not, because they're going to have the crowd on their side most of the time. I mean, when I played Federer, Nadal, Andy Murray, and Novak, very rarely, even if I was playing in Australia, was the crowd behind me. They just have that they're just such a big energy that the crowds are probably going to go for them. But I don't think that. Look, definitely Cam Norrie and Emma Raducanu are going to have the crowd behind them. Being pretty much the last, remaining hope to win Wimbledon. But look, I don't think it really matters.
Tell me what it's like when you get to this weekend, then, right? The locker room's beginning to empty a bit.
Yeah.
Is that a noticeable change in the vibe?
Yeah, for sure. It's. I've heard from a couple players already that it's starting to quieten down. And it is an odd feeling. But when I played the final, it was just me and Novak sitting in there, and it was a bit. At the end, it's literally you can't find a seat in the locker room. Basically, it's that many people, and then by the end, it's just you're crossing paths, going to the bathroom, and then
So how do you handle that? What do you do?
Tennis is such a strange sport like that.
Yeah.
You eat with your opponents. You basically, you're showering with them. They're right there. You're seeing them all the time. It's got to be the only sport in the world where you're seeing your opponent that much. Yeah. Imagine like a rugby game or something. You just back in the locker room straight after you play. There'd be riots.
Who's the worst at it?
Is
there somebody who really got underneath your skin and rattled you in those circumstances that you wanted to just get a grip of them?
It was probably Rafa, to be honest.
Yeah.
Rafa he was a nightmare before you played him because he would get his racket and he would swing really hard in front of you and really try and intimidate you. And it did work. Like, it did work because, you know, you're sitting there maybe listening to music and you just hear this guy's racket just like zooming and he's jumping around. It's just like, he did make you feel a bit nervous. Like, I actually videoed it one time. I think I've got it on my social media. Like, I was just videoing him like warming up in the background in Cincinnati, and then I destroyed him, so it was fine. But yeah, he had a lot of theatrics inside the locker room.
What did you do? Did you do anything to unsettle people in the dressing room?
Not really. I guess I kind of played some like jokes. Like, I was very loud and like I was very like, I don't know, just kept talking with my friends. So I don't know. I didn't really play too many games in the locker room, to be honest. But Rafa was the king of it.
Good effort, right. Is there anything else you want to mention about the British highlights? I mean, it's beginning to thin out a bit, isn't it, Nick?
Well, it happens.
Yeah.
But this Wimbledon, you know, even today, there's been so many interesting results. You know, there's a couple seeds already have fallen today, and you know, Tommy Paul was struggling, and that's the 13th seed. So it really is opening up, you know, for a lot of players, a lot of opportunity. But again, you know, Sinner and Alcaraz, and for Novak, they're, you know, smooth sailing right now.
What about the two female British players then? Raducanu, Sabalenka. That's box office, isn't it?
I mean, that's probably the match of the tournament on the women's side so far. You know, you've got, you know, British #1 going up against, in my opinion, the best player in the world. And the thing about Sabalenka is she's just so good, and she's so confident, and she believes that she can win anytime she steps out on the court if she plays the right way. You know, big serve, aggressive tennis, and the intensity it's unmatched. But for Raducanu, that win against, you know, Vondrousova is huge. You know, you're talking about beating a defending champion, someone that's won Wimbledon before, and can she now back it up against the best player in the world? So it doesn't get any easier for her. You'd assume that the draw would actually get easier, but not for her.
Will the crowd make a difference in that one?
Definitely, definitely. I think, you know, against Sabalenka, she's going to have to use the crowd. She's going to have to use that energy, the spark, and she's going to have to feed off it. She almost could get the crowd rolling against Sabalenka a little bit if she does it right. If she gets out there early, maybe gets like an early break, there's a chance that the crowd could will her to get a set or two. I mean, it's only best of 3, but the first set's massive for Raducanu.
It's a big moment for her, isn't it? Really big moment in her career.
Well, I mean,
are they all are, I suppose?
This is arguably probably her. I mean, obviously she's won a Grand Slam before, but this would pretty much be one of the biggest matches of her career.
I thought it was interesting, by the way. Dan Evans had said that he prefers playing court #1 rather than centre court. Did you ever feel like that in any of the arenas you've played in? And Wimbledon, you know, did you ever a court you preferred?
Yeah, I mean, I love Wimbledon centre court. It's one of my favourite courts in the world. But yeah, at the Australian Open, I preferred to play on the second largest court, and I'm not sure why. I think it was more like the energy of the crowd. They were a bit more drunk, like they were drinking. They were the energy was a bit more rowdy, and I think I preferred that. Where the centre court, it's a bit more like, you know,
civilised, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit more civilised, and I didn't like that.
We don't belong there, Nick, do we?
No, I don't.
Even though I've dressed like an umpire today for some strange reason.
You do. I feel very like,
I don't know what's happened.
Aggressive towards you today.
I know. Well, I like that, Nick. I like that. Speaking of Sabalenka Raducanu, we happen to have Sabalenka's manager with us in here, drinking a beer, looking very relaxed, proper athlete there. Any advice you would give to her team to handle that cauldron that will exist tomorrow at Wimbledon?
Well, to be honest, I think Sabalenka probably deals with pressure and everything a lot better than me. But look, it's going to be the crowd's going to be ready to go. That's for sure. And I think the first couple games and the first half an hour of that match are going to be crucial for both players. You know, if Sabalenka can get an early break and kind of jump on top of Emma, I think that's, you know, then Emma's going to be panicking maybe a little bit. But if Emma gets like an early break or something and kind of starts freeing up a little bit, then that first set's going to be really interesting. So I think Sabalenka and her team will know that the crowd is going to be a factor, and they're going to have they're going to have her well informed that, you know, this is going to be something. She's going to be not just playing Emma, but also the crowd. So, I mean, she's a Grand Slam champion. There's not really much she doesn't know.
I do find that fascinating, though, that the camera shot that goes to the friends and family and coaches box to see the body language, the demeanour, the facial expressions. What again do you want from that part of your team? Do you want to see animation? Do you want to see fury? Do you want to see a composed, calm face? What do you want to see to get you going?
I don't think I know what I want, to be honest, because sometimes I want them to give me more, sometimes I don't want them to give me anything. But now that coaching is allowed in tennis, I think it changes the dynamic a lot. You know, you can literally be coaching your player through certain moments of the match, where tennis had that interesting one-on-one type of feel, and it was one of the only sports in the world where the player just had to figure it out, you know, on their own. Where now it's a little bit different, and I don't like the fact that it lost that kind of that one-on-one combat feel. But again, I think you're alone out there for possibly 3, 4, 5 hours. So those are your teammates, they're your family. So you look to them in moments where, the crowd might be getting a rowdy and you might be playing bad and you just want a bit of comfort. So, look, I think Sabalenka's team has created something pretty special. Winning Grand Slams together is something that lasts forever. So they're very tight-knit and they're going to be ready for tomorrow.
It's interesting that you used the language one-on-one combat, right? The talkSPORT audience love boxing.
Yeah.
And we've just watched Jack Draper. He looked like he was in the championship rounds there, like the last 3 rounds, just, taking punches. But for you, in a tennis match, right, do you find that you can feel like that kind of, that confrontation of a boxing match when you're going to set up, set down, however it plays out? Does it feel like that to you?
Yeah, for sure. It's basically boxing without the contact, to be honest. You're changing, you're going back to your corners pretty much all the time. It just goes for a lot longer and you're not getting hit. But for me, especially in Grand Slam tennis, it goes for so long that sometimes, I was out there, in the fourth set and I would lose the fourth set. I would get down a break, an early break or a double break, and I'm like, well, what are the chances of me really winning this set? Should I conserve my energy a little bit? Should I, kind of just give the set to recompose myself and get going in the fifth set? And it worked. A couple times in my career at Wimbledon, I kind of conceded a set to regroup myself, and then in the press conference they were like, oh, well, you weren't trying. And I was like, well, when a boxer puts his hands down and lures their opponent, like, are they not trying, or is it rope-a-dope, or is it like a tactic to kind of get in the opponent's head? And then they didn't really know what to say. So I guess I just manipulated the press conference room again.
Is there a game you can think of that was like that in particular that you could share?
Yeah, against Nakashima, the year I made the final, I was up, and he just came out of the blocks early in the third or fourth set, and I just kind of let it go. I was just like, look, there's no point in me, like, he kind of rattled him a little bit too. He was like, what's my opponent doing? I'm on center court and I'm just not even retrieving balls. And then all of a sudden I came out and jumped all over him and won the match. So it can kind of throw your opponent off a little bit, but you got to be careful. I don't think there's many players that can really just concede, sets and then, back their ability to win matches.
Is there a physical comparison with that? Because rope-a-dope was always about taking the punches to tire out your opponent. Is there an equivalent in tennis?
I mean, probably most of the time was because I was a bit tired. I mean, one time, like I remember I played one of my good mates, Jordan Thompson. I think I lost one of the quickest sets in Wimbledon history. It was like 17 minutes or something because I was absolutely gassed. But then I was like, all right, look, I'm just going to just take a rest here. And then in the fifth set, I came out and won the fifth set 6-1. So, yeah, maybe.
Did you say that? The drop shot is the lazy tennis player's trick.
Yeah, I've said that openly in press conference. Like, I hit drop shots because I'm tired and I don't want to rally. I'm being serious.
Saving the legs. Let's talk about your media career now, right? I'm going to move on. Because you're at an interesting point as well, right? Because you're still a player, and I talk sometimes like you've retired, which you feel bad about.
No,
but you're also embracing this part, aren't you? I think you're really looking forward to it. What do you prefer more, right? Commentating on big terrestrial TV on a massive match, or having your own audience and doing your own thing on YouTube?
I enjoy both. The thing about it is I genuinely love affecting the game even if I'm not playing. There's so much. This is something I've done since I was 7 years old. I played tennis when I was 7. Literally every good thing that's come in my life has come from this sport. So I enjoy just commenting on it, watching matches, commentating, giving insights to fans, people that like tennis, people that don't like tennis. Like so pretty much all I do every day. So I just started a new vodcast with my best friend.
Is that little fella horse that you hang around with?
Yeah. Well, he hangs around me like a bad smell.
Riding on your coattails, isn't he?
Nah, he's a legend. So I'm really excited about that. We're doing like a weekly Good Trouble vodcast, which is we're remote. We're around the world. We're going to be commentating on tennis stuff, NBA, pretty much just anything, without stepping on any eggshells. We're gonna be quite controversial. I'm excited because it's the first time in my career where I actually can be controversial and not get in trouble for it. I think
there's still some fines in you.
Yeah, there is. I still have to be very careful, but I'm enjoying it all.
Has it given you a different appreciation of punditry and pundits and the journalists and reporters that talk about you when you find yourself with a microphone attached to your head?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, when they meet, obviously they have a very they have a perception of how I am, and then when I sit next to them and I'm commentating, they're like, "Wow, you're actually very switched on." I'm like,
thanks for that."
Yeah, thanks. Like, I'm like, they actually get to know me a little bit more through this work. But I think I was always made for it because I used to speak a lot on the court. Well, I do speak a lot on the court. I speak to myself. I speak to the umpires. I'm always chatting, and I feel like maybe I was actually made to be in this world rather than on that side, but we'll see.
I was telling you the other day about an amazing commentator, Bill McLaren, really famous commentator on the BBC, And he gets famous actors to recite, or sorry, his family get famous actors to recite lines of commentary that were amazing in games. And my favourite one was about a guy, Martin Bayfield, right, 6'8", and he said, there he is in the rolling mall like a percolating lighthouse. Just magic descriptive stuff.
Yeah.
Is there a line you've delivered that you're particularly proud of so far?
Yeah, I think Musetti hit like an unbelievable one-handed backhand or something, and I was just like, I don't know. I said something. I need a Musetti poster hanging in my room or something. It was like it was good. It was very good.
Have you started planning these? Have you got them
No,
scribbled down?
No. That's the thing. I don't even plan anything I say, and when I do interviews and when I speak about it, I don't like to know what's coming because then it kind of loses that on authenticity. But I'm excited to get back in the booth and have some fun for sure. Because
they're the moments that you really shine. There's the classic Ben Stiller moment, which I can never recite properly, but a guy's giving you grief when you're playing Djokovic.
No, Nadal.
Oh, it was Nadal, right? Okay.
I just don't understand why fans always feel like they understand the game better than the actual player. It's like, hold on a second. You paid money to come watch me play. Like, let's just calm down a little bit and then let me just do my job. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, would I go into a studio and tell Ben Stiller how to act? No, I would just sit there and watch him do his thing.
Did you speak to Ben Stiller about that in the end?
Yeah, we speak a bit on Twitter. I'm still waiting for him to come on my podcast. But I mean, look, where are you? Where is he?
Get him involved.
I mean,
get him in here.
He would love it.
Yeah, he would be good. And you've had some brilliant guests, we should say. When you've done the interviewing and hosting, Matthew McConaughey was on. Who's the one person that you'd like to get on if you could right now?
Well, I mean, John Cena was here a couple days ago. Like
he's in your head, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Because I just can't believe that. Like, I mean, that's my childhood right there. I used to, come home from school and watch him. Yeah. And then I've seen. I mean, look, I always have to drop her. Like Anne Hathaway is stunning. I'd love to get her in here and talk about, because she's.
Acting.
I think she's acting. Yeah, obviously that. You sent me something about it on Instagram.
I did. Yeah.
But yeah, just any sort of celebrity that wants to come down and have a chat, just about tennis or about their journey, it's special.
The one great thing about John Cena is that theatre, right, in wrestling.
It is.
It's brilliant about the way you get a crowd going and all the rest of it.
But I don't want him dressed in the Wimbledon. I want him dressed in I want the bicep sweatbands. I want everything. Yeah.
Hypertrophy or whatever it's called. But in tennis, right, we were talking about the dressing room earlier on. Is there much in the way of gamesmanship? Like, do you noise anybody up? Because there was a famous incident, wasn't it, in Nadal when you kicked the bottles over and got them wound up?
Yeah, I think with me it was more so. I guess I didn't respect them as much as other tennis players respect them. Obviously, because I didn't watch tennis when I was growing up. I never went to any of the Grand Slams. Tennis was not in my family at all. My parents were not good at tennis. Like my siblings tried to play, they were pretty average. So it's like when I saw Nadal and Federer and like these gods for the first time, and most of these tennis players they live and breathe tennis. With me, it was just I kind of was just good at it. I trained and then I just ended up there. So I didn't see these. I just saw them as like other guys. So when I saw his bottles and he had to be in like exact same position, I'm like, who does this guy think he is? Like knock the bottles over. I'm talking to Federer on the change of ends, and Federer's like, what's this circus going on? Like I just didn't see them as, I guess, the gods. They were just humans to me. And look, obviously they've achieved incredible. They're the greatest of all time. But for me, they were just dudes, I guess, just guys.
It's a ticket to the circus that I want, Nick Kyrgios. I certainly do. Right, we're going to do your team picks, right? Hero and villain of the day. Who's your hero first of all?
Well, my villain. I'll start with my villain first. Is Marin Cilic. And a villain in a good way. Obviously, it's good to see him back playing, him back healthy, but killing the hopes of the British. Number one is you're never going to be a hero in if he's walking around Wimbledon, he's got to have some security now because if you knock out Draper, you're definitely the villain. Hero of the day. Oh man, today was an interesting one, but I'll give you my pick for tomorrow. Hero. I think Raducanu's got the chance to be the hero of the tournament, but she's got probably one of the hardest tasks of her career tomorrow.
Sabalenka is phenomenal, isn't she? I mean, give us a sense of where she stands, in your opinion, in the great canon of female tennis players over the years.
She's got the ability to become one of the greatest to ever play, for sure. And I think what I love about Sabalenka is, where I can relate, is she's so different on and off the court. When she's on the court, she's incredibly intense. She's fierce. She's got a big game. She's almost scary. And then off the court, she's gentle. She came on my podcast, and I really got to know her and connect with her at a human level, and she's really funny. She's nice, and she was telling me that she wanted to change that perception. People thought that she was always like that on the court, but she's actually lovely off the court. So I've been very lucky to even have a chat with some of these players. You know, she's one of the best players in the world, and again, I'm just like, why are you listening to the questions I'm giving you? Which is pretty funny, but tomorrow I'm definitely going to be sitting and watching that one.
I can't believe we're nearly 5 days into this, right? And I haven't spoken to you about one player in particular, because I was standing outside the house and I heard this roar. And I said, that doesn't make any sense. I couldn't think what game it was, but it's Fonseca, right? I mean, in terms of players you're excited about in the future of tennis, and we've talked about this, haven't we, about people leaving Wimbledon and not remembering who was playing. Yeah. There's a guy, right, that people are going to remember and talk about. So again, how good and how much potential has he got?
No, he's going to be one of, we're talking about a guy that's, the generation under Sinner and Alcaraz. He's going to be that guy. He'll be knocking on the door very soon. He's just a boy, literally a teenage boy at this point. You can see he hasn't even filled out. He hasn't even stopped growing, and he's beating players like Jensen Brooksby, who are, solidified top 30 players on tour, and that are tricky as well, that have won a lot of matches. So Fonseca, and he's already got that. When he plays, his stadium's packed. And he has that excitement. I watched him. I'm not gonna lie. I watched him yesterday as well on TV before we recorded, and he has that excitement to him. And he's lovable as well. He's gonna be an absolute force in the future.
How much Kyrgios has he got in him?
Oh, none at all, which is good.
Really?
Which is good.
Everyone needs a bit of Kyrgios in them, no?
I mean, maybe just one leaflet, maybe. Not too much. But I knew he was going to be good because he was actually playing a challenger event in where I live in Australia, in Canberra, and he finished his semi-final, and I was just training inside, and he came straight back indoors, and he started hitting for an hour and a half, and I just knew that he's got that work ethic, and he came over, and he was like, he actually made me feel really old. He was like, oh, like I watch you all the time, like you're one of my, like, I really enjoy it. I hope you, and I'm like,
tremendous.
When kids like that are coming to me, I'm like, damn, like I'm starting to become like a veteran of the tour. But hopefully he doesn't watch too many of my highlights. Maybe I think he's doing fine.
Old man Kyrgios. At 30 years old, you're a veteran. Right, next picks, right? Quickfire questions. Who's this one from? We don't have a name on it, but what's your favourite movie, Nick Kyrgios?
Pretty much anything with Adam Sandler. I like Happy Gilmore and Happy Gilmore 2.
What a film that is.
I think it's on. I think Happy Gilmore 2 is out already on Netflix, so I'm gonna go watch that. No, that's an all-time great.
Yeah, so a bit of Sandler. Good choice. Right, I don't know who this one's from as well, but dream night out, place and people please, Mr. Kyrgios.
Honestly,
keep it relatively safe.
I know, I am. Right. I am. Look, place. I'm starting to think that Wimbledon Village is it could be number one. Honestly, the Dogger Fox Hemingway's combination is dangerous.
Yeah.
With people, just look. I could have a good night with anyone. That's the scary thing. The scary thing.
What's the best night you've had out, right? And I don't want a tennis player necessarily, but who was the best company for a night out?
Look, I always said I wish I went out with my family a little bit more. I never really did that much in my career. I never really celebrated too much with my brother or sister, and I wish I did that more because I feel like we would have had some incredible times together. I wish my best friend / agent would have a drink with me from time to time. He's
too professional.
He's too professional now, and dad life's coming at him fast. So I think that'll never happen in this life again.
He is family as well, though, isn't he? That's the issue.
Basically family. I'm not going to give him that yet.
I should explain that when we did the live show at Wimbledon Theatre the other day, your sister chucked you under the bus.
Oh, I couldn't believe
by
that,
giving us an unbelievable video of you singing. How old were you in that? 12? 11,
I don't know,
12?
but like it all started with the Netflix documentary. My mum and my sister gave them like all these like childhood memories that no one would ever want anyone to see, and they just gave them to them.
Oh, we want to see them. We wanted to see them.
No, they weren't good. No, it's you can watch them. It's
You've got a good voice.